The brief this year prompts us to develop an urban strategy for the regeneration of a field of operation.
Our chosen site, the city of Damietta, is situated towards the north of Egypt within the Nile Delta. The city is located on low-lying ground, making it vulnerable for future environmental changes. With a population of approximately 1 million at risk, the need for an urban intervention is paramount.
Our exploration of the site continued through mapping of the centripetal and centrifugal forces in our field of operation. The initial site analysis maps out the urban fabric to reveal its qualities. Through the model, we explored the layers of the site that resembled its historical evolution and how these changes are situated on site today. We observed the urban fabric within the palimpsest, unveiling notions of centripetal or centrifugal forces exerted by the current fabric striving to claim the liminal land to enhance their presence within Damietta.
Further signs of these forces can be experienced at the street level, between the east and west banks. The east consists of more liberated characteristics such as varying building heights, Western influences, individualistic housing, and access to public spaces. This is contrasted with the West Bank that exerts traditional characteristics such as close-knit communities, large agricultural plots, and signs of gentrification spreading from the East Bank.
Deeper analysis of vulnerable communities located further away from the waterfront revealed a more traditional livelihood. However, closer to the water's edge you go, these traditional livelihoods seem to fade away into a more liberated and modernised lifestyle.
When investigating transportation links, it was revealed that despite the dense regions of the city, there existed insufficient modes of transport. Within only one bus station, majority of transportation is carried out through cars, motorbikes, cycling, and walking. Prevalent through most regions of the slums are very narrow streets that barely accommodates the various modes of transport, restricting mobility within neighborhoods.
Analysis of the site exposed a distinct shortage of public spaces for both men and women. Some of these public spaces are excluded from society as they're made up of gated areas with restricted routes of access. However, these spaces are dominated by the male population, suggesting an imbalance in gender representation within the city. This imbalance placed an additional level of vulnerability to the female population alongside traditional perceptions of gender roles.
As we aim to create a dynamic city, it is crucial to analyse the future environmental scenarios that would need to be considered in our master plan. With the future sea level rise predictions for the site, it was revealed that the West Bank would become even more vulnerable, enhancing the dynamic approach to the urban strategy.
We would like to propose an urban strategy that seeks to create an equal representation between social, physical, and environmental dimensions that achieve the overall aim of a balanced, dynamic city. The urban strategy presents 3 building programs that will act as main interventions for addressing issues of the urban fabric, the social networks, and the transport networks. From our analysis, all 3 key themes had an issue of gender inequalities. This will become the overarching issue that would guide our spatial strategy.
Our initial approach for the urban strategy began with a mapping of the existing site that created the foundation of our master plan. The West Bank displayed qualities of stronger linear gestures that were juxtaposed by the organic nature of the Eastern Bank. This highlighted the imbalance and disparities present in the urban form, giving us the insight for how to achieve balance in the physical form.
Initial gestures for achieving balance were explored through physical manipulation of the existing forms. By combining the juxtaposing conditions, we realised that the interconnectedness of the 2 forms created the catalyst for achieving the balance in the physical dimension. Balance requires the presence of both.
We embedded our research and approach within 4 theoretical themes: the importance of maintaining dialogue in relationships, the inequalities present within cities, understanding the spirit of place, and the need for interconnectedness between varying individuals.
Bakhtin's theory of dialogism suggests that objects gain importance through their engagement with the other. The exercise studies the type of dialogue that was carried out across the temporal dimension, revealing major dialogical shifts between the natural and human worlds.
Here we identify threads of Lefebvre's theory revealing the inconsistencies in the way women and men navigate through their everyday activities.
Looking at the genius loci theory, we exemplify how we intend to create connectivity between the Nile and the inner city.
The Gaia theory understands the importance of the individual systems and highlights that only by working together can a balanced working system be achieved.
In understanding that balance extends to the morphology of the urban realm, the urban strategy borrows the existing forms. Strong linear gestures have been extended to create a contrast with the curvaceous Nile. Nodes that are geometrically formed by the existing fabric are implemented within the rectilinear forms to find the middle ground between the geometries.
The urban strategy takes the approach of a layered system.
Nodes that resemble courtyards have been placed as community gathering spaces to increase the social stability in Damietta. These have been formed by the geometry of the existing infrastructure and embedded within the rectilinear urban form to find the middle ground between the organic and linear characteristics of Damietta.
These nodes form part of the building programs that will aid in revitalising the community's social, living and mobility experiences.
The new linear water channels are integrated in the community to serve multiple purposes. Primarily, they will help to mitigate sea level rise disasters. Furthermore, they will serve as gestures in bringing the waterfront experience to the deprived communities. And finally, they will serve as additional modes of water transportation networks.
Existing transport links have been repurposed as a non-intrusive approach for improving mobility in the future dynamic city. These dry ground transportation networks encourage sustainable modes of transport and reduce the presence of single-use vehicles. These networks will encourage safer forms of mobility opportunities throughout the city, such as cycling, more bus and train transport, and pedestrian-friendly access.
Green corridors are further implemented to integrate the green, natural world with the daily lives of the locals. The corridors mimic the new water lines and the Nile's edge to encourage waterfront access and allow for public spaces to be freely enjoyed by all people. The green bands also work in conjunction with the flood mitigation strategy.
Secondary organic water channels provide the smaller links between communities, whilst connecting key gathering nodes. They serve as further overspills for mitigating additional floods created by storm surges and flash floodings.
A series of pedestrian-friendly bridges have been incorporated as notions for reconnecting the east and west banks, whilst encouraging ease of movement and mobility throughout the city. Further gestures of green bandings are made on the east bank to maintain the public accessibility of the waterfront.
The individual layers, though not successful on their own, when working together, create a dynamic and balanced city that can successfully adapt to various environmental conditions. Our 3 programs include a community hub set out to facilitate the well-being of community members, a transportation hub forging sustainable and accessible modes of transport throughout the city, a housing and recreational centre fostering the development of affordable and versatile housing.
We wanted our urban strategy to align with the sustainable goals that Damietta has put in place for 2030. The completion of these 3 phases would help us to achieve the dynamic city that naturally adapts to the flooding conditions of 2050.